Today I'm going to be showing you guys the best air damage units by DPS in All-Star Tower Defense. I made myself an Excel spreadsheet, so we got you guys the straight facts, no opinions, just numbers. And before we get into it though, make sure you guys smash the subscribe button if you guys want, and let me know down below if you want me to make my next code unit at 500k a air unit or a hybrid unit, or maybe just a ground unit, or maybe something else. And remember, you must be subscribed if you want to get your hands on my next code unit. And judging by how OP my last code unit was, Dragon Maid, I know you guys are in for a real treat. Also, one quick note, guys, this list does not take cost into account. So some units are super expensive. For example, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is just based on straight DPS with 1 placement or 8 placement. Let's get it. And don't worry, guys, the units in my inventory are not the best. All right, these are actually the bottom 12, the bottom of the top 12. So make sure you guys watch the end of the video to see who the real best unit is. So let's start the countdown with number 12. All right, so number 12 with 1.4 million DPS, we have Ichigo, guys. Yeah, I did not realize he's this low on the list. Now, I don't think this is actually counting his awakening ability. However, if you guys can see, his awakening ability only adds a little bit more DPS, so he would only move up maybe a couple more slots with that. But so yeah, he's gonna be probably number 12 or number 11 depending on how you factor in his ability. So let me go show you guys his attack effect. It looks pretty sick though, I'm not gonna lie. So here you go if you guys are in for the effects. Let me turn them on first. All right, here we go. Dang, that SPA is kind of long. Does he even... Oh, he doesn't... Remember, he only hits air units, guys. That's the one downfall with him as well. So if you want to, you have to do that so he hits the normal units. All right, so next up, guys, we have number 11. We have Tanjiro. Now, Tanjiro also has the benefit of Sunburn, which also slows down the enemies, and he does become a hybrid unit. Now, the reason he's so high is Sunburn is a lot like Burn and Bleed and stuff. So, or actually, it's more like Poison. So it does a lot of damage, as well as him actually just being a straight up pretty decent DPS unit. So that brings him at number 11. All right, so number 10, guys. So we're now officially in the top 10. We have the new unit. All right, we got Magellan. Now, what makes Magellan so high on this list is his damage is actually pretty sweet at 3.4, and he also is poison as well. All right, giving him slightly more DPS than Tanjiro. Very slightly, and he has probably some of the coolest effects in the game. His DPS is 1.5 million. Actually, no, 1.68 million DPS. So definitely up there. Almost 1.7 million, actually. So at level 1. All right, next up, guys, we have Power. All right, now Power actually starts off as single target, but it does get she does get a fairly decent circle AoE. So this makes her number 9 with 3.6 million DPS at level 175, and then right around 1.7 DPS at level 1. All right, looking pretty good. All right, and of course she does have bleed as well, which really adds to her DPS. All right, next up, guys, we have another bleed unit. We have Katanas. All right, this one is dark element. Now, if we compare the two, all right, granted, one is max level. You're gonna notice that Katana Man actually has less DPS right now, but he will get a slightly more DPS. Now, if we're talking about in reality, the main thing that makes him better is his slightly bigger circle. And I believe they have the same range. So yeah, I don't know if I would ever use Power. I would probably just use Katanas. Power is even cheaper as well. And once you actually level up Power to 175, he is going to have more DPS. So he's at 1.8 million DPS at level 1. And at max level, he is at right around 3.8 million DPS. So almost 4 million DPS, which is pretty crazy. So the next unit we have is Nezuko, who is another burn unit. Actually, she's the first burn. I think she might be the only burn unit on this list. Well, she's up. Maybe if she's sweet later. But here we go, guys. So what makes her so great is her full AoE. Now, she only is attacked by units that are currently being bled, though. So that is the one downfall with her. But factoring everything in, she's a pretty sweet unit. And burn is definitely one of the better elemental abilities to have. So those are the bottom 6 of the top 12. So now let's go on to the top 6 best air damage units. All right, so no surprise, guys. Number 6, we have Gohan after his buff. All right, Gohan is actually a pretty beastly unit. I think he's not actually the best air DPS, but he has a nice cone, which is pretty good. So that actually brings his DPS up to 1.9 million, which is fairly high. But if you guys are going to see later on in the video, it's actually pretty trash. So Gohan is up there, but actually, guys, I never recommend really bringing Gohan. All right, he is a decent unit, though, if you already have him. All right, number 5, guys, we have, no surprise, we have Shisui. Slight edge over Nezuko at right around 2 million DPS at level 1. Again, what makes him so good is Burn. Burn is one of the best effects in the game. All right, you can see it hits like about 1.1 times every 6 seconds or something like that, like 1.2 every second. I mean, whatever. Hits almost every other second, like a little bit faster than every other second, something like that. So compared to other ones, Burn is one of the best ones to have. I think Bleed is slightly better, and So that actually brings us to number 4. We have our boy Zoro, the fourth best DPS in the game. You guys can kind of see why. Like, yeah, let's be real. There's kind of a big gap here. Even on the list, though, it's actually not as big of a gap. Let's see here. Oh, wait, what? 1 second. It's only actually about a 10 to 15% gap somehow, which is crazy to me, but that it is what it is. So you guys can kind of see their AoE is very similar, but this guy's doing 4.5 versus 3.4, so that's a pretty big gap. So that brings us on to the 3rd best unit. Now, the crazy thing about this unit, guys, is he's actually been the 3rd best unit for air DPS for a long time. Like, bruh, it's the Black Flames, man. Black Flames is busted OP 21 times over 40 seconds. And what also makes him really good compared to Shisui is if you take a look at the SPA is night and day. Night and day. Look at that. 50% faster for basically the same damage. So, his DPS is actually only slightly better than Zoro's, though, which makes sense. Actually, a very, very slight edge over Zoro's. So the thing about Zoro is he has about 50% more damage and 50% more SPA. So honestly, you probably could bring either or. Now, I like Zoro better than Sasuke because if you take a look at the costs, 2.3 million, yeah, versus a cost of 936k. So personally, I would definitely say Zoro is better. But it's pretty close. Also, if you do it right, you can use Kurama with him. So I guess that might be a benefit. But Zoro definitely has the edge because of his cost. But technically speaking, Sasuke does do more damage. So that's why Sasuke is number 3 on this list. All right, so now let's go compare. We'll compare these two next. We have the new guy of Infernal Enigma. All right, what makes him so good is Rupture is a pretty busted OP ability, but it's nothing too crazy. So he ended up turning out to be a pretty dang good unit, along with his pretty busted OP, Rupture, which is basically almost as good as Bleed. Now, what makes him so great is he has that faster SPA, and he has basically the same damage. You can see mine isn't even 175 yet, and it's almost as much as Zoro's. So he's basically Zoro with a better cone, way better cone AoE. Like, look at that cone AoE, is sick. Like, if you use that cone AoE right, like, you can basically be hitting, like, the entire map. Like, or most of the map. Like, look at this. You can easily have him hitting this whole section, while Zoro's only hitting this little bit here. All right. So now I guess this one is going to surprise you is actually Stampede. The reason being is not only does he do insane damage, if we take a look at the list, guys, without factoring in his ability, Mob is already very close. He's actually top 20, all right, for air DPS without factoring in his ability. And of course, guys, you all know his ability is 7.5 trillion, like gazillion damage, 7.5 billion damage per hit. And none of these units can even come close. So there you go, guys. The best air DPS unit in the game is Mob for sure. So make sure you guys bring him, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.